For the Oneida people, Native American Heritage Month provides, among other things, an opportunity to teach new generations of Americans the role that the Oneida people played in the founding of America. We do so because we believe it is a critical facet of both preserving the accurate history of the United States and honoring indigenous peoples' formative role in building this country. It was the Oneida people who took up arms in support of their colonial neighbors early on at the Battle of Oriskany, considered by many historians to be the bloodiest battle of the Revolution. It was the Oneida people who were America's first ally. It would be the Oneidas who signed one of the oldest treaties that are still valid in American history with George Washington. While it's troubling that this history has often been omitted from America's founding stories, it underscores the significance of having a month dedicated to learning about the current and historical contributions of not just the Oneida people, but all Native people.
Suguli, Yangwan Yota Aga, Wateguano Helad, Nega Iga, Nain Onyota Aga, Wat Guaguate, Aiz Wadlologe Ga Iga, Wadasadal, Ne Aundu, Saha, Asquayan Delain, Jules Abamswin, Wahadnu Suni, Ga Iga, Ganusot, Jitni Yonu Sahnil, Sagowi, Gawayats, Ne Ganduhe, he gives, Richard Christian, Luwayatsque, Hungwe Huene, Hayawasque Jeek, Anjut Wesqua, Swayan Date Dao Huddy, Jitni Umgwali Hoda, Onyota Ag. Hello, we the Oneida people, we greet and welcome you, and we invite you to watch this video so that you can learn more about the Oneidas. Jules Abamswin built this beautiful, solid building, and it is named Sagowi. It is called that in memory of the late Richard Christian, and the name means he gives. We hope you enjoy learning some of our Oneida ways and customs.
At Sagowi Cultural Center, our featured exhibit is our lacrosse exhibit. In our language, we pronounce it Galasay. It's a Haudenosaunee tradition. To the Oneidas, the game has been known in our tradition as the Creator's game, and was played for the Creator for his enjoyment. But the game was also a spiritual celebration with deep meaning. Visitors can learn how the game developed throughout time and read about the differences in the modern game versus the traditional game. They also can see the process of making a traditional lacrosse stick from the shaping and carving of the hickory wood into a stick. The tradition of lacrosse stick making has been preserved by master craftsmen dedicated to ensuring the legacy in the future of the Haudenosaunee game of lacrosse. From here, your visit takes you to other exhibits and displays throughout Sagowi.
These are traditional headgear worn by men called gustowis. The feather arrangements on top dictate what tribe you belong to. So 2 up and 1 down means you belong to the Oneida Nation. In the back we have no-face doll. None of our dolls will have faces on them, and that goes back to one of our legends, the legends of the no-face doll. Typically they're made out of corn husk dolls originally, and they don't have any faces on them, so we can teach our children that vanity is not a good thing. We should treat each other with respect and love, and that is what makes a person beautiful, not what's on their face. Because faces change, but how you treat each other will always be what makes you a beautiful person and a good person. These are small displays of gustowis, and the feather arrangements will dictate what tribe you belong to. Seneca is 1 up, Cayuga is 1 down, Onondaga is 1 up, 1 down. However, they're a little different. Sometimes you'll see men with 2 straight up in the air. It's just different styles, but they're Onondaga either way. Oneida, 2 up, 1 down. The Mohawk are 3 up, and the Tuscarora Nation, who joined us after our formation in 1722, have no feathers on top of theirs. That is the ancestral homelands of the Haudenosaunee within New York State. Mohawk Nation is considered the keepers of the eastern door. The Oneida Nation is keepers of the southern door, which is why the Tuscaroras went to the Oneidas when they came up, because the Tuscaroras came from the south. The Onondaga Nation is the keepers of the central fire. Cayugas, keepers of the northern door, and the Senecas are the keepers of the western door. This is a Haudenosaunee style beadwork, or more commonly known as Iroquois style. The moccasins have never been worn. They're just made as collector's items. Our beadwork was sort of a survival art. Once we were put on reservations, we had to do something to make money for our families, so we created beadwork to sell to tourists, and that's how we survived. These are replica wampum belts. Wampum is made out of quahog shells, and these are records of our history. We're an oral society, so everything was passed down through legends and stories. So when major events happened, treaties were formed, we had to remember them in detail, so these belts were created to do that. This case is what we call the Christian case. Sagoe Richard Christian was a very talented artist and woodcarver, and he made a lot of the pieces in here. The larger sculpture is made by Noel Christian Benson, Sagoe's grandson. And on it is a moose antler carved into the shape of an eagle. We have a white pine, which is a tree of peace. Underneath the roots is a war club to symbolize that we are at peace. We're no longer to fight each other anymore. We're meant to be peaceful people. In this case, we have our musical instruments. We have a water drum, and you put water in that, and depending on how wet you get the hide, it gives you different sounds. We have one of our more modern pieces, the horn rattle, that's made out of a steer horn, and that would have been made after contact because we did not have that animal over here until the Europeans brought it. Prior to contact, we would use buffalo horns. We have leg rattles made out of dew claws of a deer. Men would wrap those around their legs so when they dance, they're on beat. It sounds really nice. Now the very special item in that case is the turtle rattle. That is typically a ceremonial item, and really the only reason we're allowed to have that on display is because that piece has not gone through ceremony. Basket making is an important part of the Haudenosaunee culture, and Oneidas are noted for their basket work in the 1800s. The fur trade was over, and new ways of subsistence were needed. Basket making was one of them. Men cut and chopped the trees and made work and pack baskets, while the women made fancy baskets. The styles of baskets became fancier after the Civil War during the Victorian period. The Oneida baskets reflected this fashion with curlicures, ribbons, and other intricate detailing. The corn pounder was used to grind corn into a fine powder, a staple in the Haudenosaunee diet that was then used to make various foods. Corn is one of the three sisters alongside beans and squash. The three sisters are sustainers of life, without which we cannot survive. In a practice known as hanging the kettle, Haudenosaunee longhouses always had food cooked and ready for any guest to enjoy. Only once guests were fed and comfortable were they asked why they came to visit. This is a practice still used today when visiting a Haudenosaunee home. Guests are asked if they'd like something to eat or drink. It is considered rude to refuse an offer. Sagoe Cultural Center is located on Territory Road on Oneida homelands. We are open Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.